The streets are buzzing. New York Knicks pull off the most epic comeback of all comebacks. Game 1 goes to the New York Knicks in this Eastern Conference Finals series. Cleveland are reeling right now, and the Knicks executed down the stretch, man. We've had a chance to calm down and gather our emotions, right? I've collected my words, and let's break it down, man. Welcome in to the recap. We're buzzing, ladies and gentlemen. We got away with this one, but the better team won down the stretch, and the New York Knicks had heroes upon heroes abound as we witnessed, man, an MSG all-time classic that we'll remember forever. And Landry Shamet was one of the big heroes, man. Not surprised. Mike Brown made a key adjustment which swung this ball game. Hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Knicks Buzz fam, let us know how you're feeling in the comment section, man. I can feel the energy right now. Welcome back to OG Anunoby. Wasn't his old self, but came alive late. I want to talk about that moving forward and some keys to game 2. But look, before we even get into X's and O's, man, let's rewind. The Knicks came out rusty, which is, as expected. Somehow found a lead, up 11. Before you knew it, man, Donovan Mitchell, James Harden knocked down some crazy threes and got the lead back. And the Knicks just didn't, adjust, I think, defensively. The shooters were wide open from Cleveland, and they felt confident. I think match and game rhythm was key for them, but as we're going to hit on, fatigue played a major part as they ran out of gas, man. And the Knicks, the clutch Knicks, the fast-finishing New York Knicks, right, were the better team when it was needed, right? Yes, you talk about choke jobs of all choke jobs for Cleveland because they played to run down the clock. And the Knicks have been in that position before. You're up 22. But the thing about this Knicks team that I want to talk about before X's and O's is just the will, the experience together, the grit. They're never out of the ball game. I mean, Boston Celtics felt the wrath last season. They felt like they had the game all, sewn up last season, and the Knicks came from behind from 20 down twice, and they do it again. So, note to future opponents, man. The Knicks are never out of the ball game, man. They believe. They're battle tested, battle hardened, as we're going to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. Pun intended, as Jalen Brunson abused James Harden late, right? Adding to his legacy, man. We're going to give out the game ball, man. There's going to be no surprises with that one. But great coaching adjustment. It was a little late, but Josh Hart couldn't hit shots early. And I thought after missing a couple of easy looks, things were more difficult offensively. So the Knicks just trying to get easier shots and separation. Credit to Mike Brown, though. He stuck with Mitch through a pivotal part of the game when, in past games, he'd taken Mitch out, missing the free throws, but he stuck with him. Mike Brown talked about it at the podium post-game, that he believes in Mitch and sticking with him because he's a big part of what we do. But look, we win this game. We're going to go through all the records and the numbers, the stats that tell the stories. But you can't tell the story of how good Jalen Brunson is, man. There's no words to do it justice, man. He's a stone cold killer, believes in his work, puts the work in, been there a million times, and it's like he was born to play basketball, in the words of Mike Breen, man. It was a treat hearing Mike Breen on the call as the Knicks, man, were coming and coming after 22 down. Kenny Atkinson, what was he doing? I was bemused. I can only imagine what Cavs fans were thinking. down 22, didn't call a timeout until it was down 6. And this loss is on Kenny Atkinson. If, you're looking at it from a Cavaliers perspective, as the Knicks are just 3 games away. Talk about perspective. 3 wins away from an NBA Finals berth, man, and no looking back now. I think the Knicks win this series. I think Cavaliers will be shell shocked after this, as the Knicks were last season. Just a devastating loss if you're Cleveland, and then obviously the vibes on the flip side, a super immaculate, right? Escaping jail. New York Post got the jailhouse rock, but the Knicks got to have learnt a lot as well. Executing better. Landry Shamet coming in. We'll look at the plus minus because, yeah, Hart's been amazing this playoff run, but I kind of felt like it was going to come at some point where, a better team with more weapons like Cleveland would dare Josh Hart to shoot a lot more and, you know, make him make more plays. And the Knicks turn the ball over a lot. They were 2 of 19 from downtown. I don't think that's getting spoken of enough because, look, the Knicks could have very well still been, in the lead at halftime. 2 of 19. Like, we can say that, guys. That ain't going to happen again. 2 of 19. You can call it rust. You can call it lack of rhythm. And look, it's a huge thing that we're dealing with in terms of no teams really had 9 days break. That's longer than the All-Star break. And so, look, my take would have been if the Knicks lost this game and I was bracing myself down 22, my take would have been, look, obviously the rust was real, but you've got to tip your cap because Cleveland executed for 2.5 quarters. They deserve their lead, but no game safe, especially at Madison Square Garden with these killers that believe, right? So as we focus a little bit more on the X's and O's, I think moving forward, I think Landry he changed his game. And Mike Brown, obviously you got to give him some credit for making the adjustment. The game was calling for it. It was begging for it, for Hart to be out of the lineup, to just add, the extra spacing so that Brunson could get the switch on James Harden and abuse that matchup and keep the Cavaliers defense more honest. And Mike Brown made that adjustment. But Landry, all the credit in the world, man. He's a fighter, vets minimum, injuries, journeyman career, but he's in the place where he needs to be, man. And he's going to be a future great Knick. Already carving out a legacy, man. Vets minimum guy, big stage, big shots. His defense was unbelievable on Donovan Mitchell. It was sensational. And the ability to stay in front of him, absorb physicality. He's got the length, the height. He's taller than Spider. Look at this possession right here, man. Spider was trying to dance and prance, and that one rimmed out. Man, the Knicks did get some luck as well. You need everything to pull off a 22-point comeback, fam. The greatest comeback in Knicks postseason history, franchise history. And look at the scenes speak for themselves, man. The energy, the aura. And this is just another chapter in the New York Knicks storied franchise playoff legacy. The ride is going to continue, but how are Cleveland going to come out in game 2? Is Mike Brown going to lower the minutes of Josh Hart? You guys let me know in the comment section, what would you do? I'll give you my thoughts on it, but what a start to these playoffs, man. As we give out the game ball right now, we salute the biggest hero of the game, Brunson, 38-6. I mean, just when you think he's capped out, pun intended as well, or he's peaked, he takes it to the next level. Every single year as a Knick, postseason upon postseason, he's doing more crazy things. And, I felt like he could have got to the foul line. I think he was fouled there as well. Doesn't let it, affect him. Doesn't complain a lot. I think the refs, talk about Shea getting the superstar treatment. Brunson could average 15 free throws. Even putting the grifting stuff aside, like rivals talk about, he gets hit in the face twice before he gets a call. They give him one for good measure, and then he has to get hit again. But he's just a phenomenal shot maker and just so confident and comfortable with the ball in his hands. And the magic is in the work. Speaking of magic, I'm going to talk about Mikal Bridges next because Mikal, I'm going to nickname him Magic Mikal, because when the playoffs hit, he turns to magic and starts to really hit shots that he doesn't hit during the regular season. But back to Brunson, it kind of rubs off on the whole squad. When you see players just go into a complete flow state, um, where they can just feel like they can dominate every single situation with the extra spacing. That is barbecue chicken, man. James Harden getting cut up into 1,000 pieces. And yeah, I think this loss is on Kenny Atkinson too, because look, the Cavaliers realistically could have shut the door if they hit a couple of extra shots. But like I said, there's so many factors that go into this. I feel like this is 3 games into one, because the Knicks shot 2 of 19. They had an 11-point lead still earlier in the game. It was very early, but then they lost the lead real quick. Down at the half, right? Then you factor in the comebacks as well, Cleveland getting on top, but the missed free throws from the Knicks as well. We'll take a look at the box score right now before we give out the game ball. But yeah, if the Knicks wouldn't have needed this big of a comeback if they hit their free throws, and I'm going to talk about that about game 2 moving forward. But I tweeted this out, man. We witnessed, a miracle, basically, because teams trailing 22 points, man, in the fourth in a playoff game since 97-98 were 1 for 594. 1 for 594, fam. And the Knicks at some point during this game had a 0.1% chance, man. Avengers Endgame, 0.1% chance of winning. And it was just an all-time choke job, but an all-time classic comeback. Down 22 with 7 and 44 remaining, ladies and gentlemen. But like I said, Cavaliers played to, milk the clock. And I feel like it came back to haunt, fam. Shot by shot by shot, man. Death by 1,000 cuts. We pull up the box score right now. It tells the story. Look at the plus minus. Josh Hart, minus 23. Every other player except Mitch in the rotation was in the plus, right? Cat, big time rebounds, man. 13 rebounds, 5 dimes. Magic Mikal, phenomenal defensively as well. 2 big threes, as well as the Landry threes as well. Didn't get enough out of Clarkson or Deuce or OG. We'll talk about that moving forward. Game 2, those guys have got to step up. But the turnovers, 17 turnovers. I don't think the Knicks are going to do that again. 10 of 32 from downtown, right? I don't think they're going to do that again as well, right? But look at this shot chart right now as I'm going to bring up. Right, and we look at the game stats. Ladies and gentlemen, still catching my breath. We witnessed an absolute all-timer, a classic. So proud and pumped to be a fan of this team right now, man. This postseason run's special, and it's getting upon insane levels right now. I want to, hone in on this shot chart because, as I pull it up, blow it up, if y'all showed me this before the game without telling me the score, and I just looked at this New York Knicks shot chart, I would have said the Knicks will struggle to win the game. It'll be almost close to impossible. If you look at all those 3-point misses, just buckets in the paint, restricted area, that's it. I don't know if the Knicks are going to get that done, but they found a way. It's just unbelievable looking at this shot chart that the Knicks still found a way. And yes, they got to the line. They executed. Cleveland went cold. I think obviously the fatigue was always on the Knicks side and was going to creep in for Cleveland. But look, I said no rebounds, no rings. Knicks dominated the rebounds. Cat was a big part. Mitch Hart played a part. Both teams with the steals. I said this series would be conventional. Well, this game was kind of far from conventional the way it played out, but the moments where it was just offense for offense, but the Knicks just came out shooting cold, and I just think that was a lack of rhythm. So I think game two, I expect the Knicks to be so much better. Now Cleveland didn't exactly shoot great from downtown either, and the Knicks shot 47% from the field, which was significant. More second chance points, for huge points in the paint discrepancy, 60 to 38. So that is key. All those buckets in the restricted area. I mean, aside from the 3-point misses, that's a dream for an offense in terms of high efficiency looks. But look, without further ado, man, we continue to give his flowers and some, man. Jalen Brunson, man, one of the biggest superstars on this planet, in this globe, especially in the New York sporting landscape right now, the NBA. Put some respect on his name, man. Yes, he's smaller than Shea, smaller than your Giannis, Joker, Kawhi Leonard, but he's got the heart of a lion, man. And he's skilled, and he keeps coming, and he's a killer, ladies and gentlemen. And you cannot rest. You cannot take your foot off the gas, ladies and gentlemen. Credit to the find. I thought Brunson really navigated the traps late. That was really good finding that. I've just seen so much growth, man. Over the last two postseason runs, the Knicks were turnover machines late down the stretch. And I think, yeah, we've seen a great coaching staff adjustment throughout this postseason run. And I think the offense, obviously, I think this game was more lack of rhythm, but the X's and O's in the offense, man, is just getting better and better from the last two postseasons. And, you know, the spacing was key. OG Anunoby now. There is some concern with the hamstring. Didn't look like himself, which is to be expected, though. There is a lot of rust. He's missed some games, too. Missed the last two against Philly. But yeah, this was a big play by Mitchie coming up with that steal. And yeah, I just think this game was so crazy, man. It was 3 games in one. And I just couldn't believe the Knicks gave away the 11-point lead and then just completely went stagnant. Got to give the Cavs a lot of credit because they executed really well for 2.5, 3 quarters, but that's not enough, you know? If you get hot, you play one good, really, really good quarter, and the other team chokes, you can still win. And we said it this time last season, the Knicks didn't deserve to lose game 1 against Indiana, but Indiana took it. You know, they got the roll off the rim. They hit the shots when it counted, but my God, Magic Mikal, yeah, he just turns to magic when the playoffs arrive. And I really liked his aggressiveness early. You know, he was taking it strong to the rack. He wasn't really worried about contact. And I like what I saw early from Mikal. So I think, yeah, the adjustment was the biggest key to turning it around. Cleveland choking, obviously, but Josh Hart being taken out of the lineup. Now, I think he's going to continue to start, but I think there's some things that the Knicks could do, you know, a lot better than they kind of went away from. And one of them is Josh Hart as the screener. You know, because the Knicks have had so much luck or so much good fortune with Cat as the hub and the primary facilitator at top, I think the Knicks just got too steadfast in trying to spam the Cat, you know. And yes, it worked against Philly. This is a different series. When Jarrett Allen was sagging off of Josh Hart, he was closing up the cutting lanes, the passing lanes. So I do think we're probably got to go back to a more traditional Brunson at the top, Cat on the block, Josh Hart as the screener. Get Josh Hart in some of those screening actions a lot more with Brunson. And, you know, that way you're going to pull Jarrett Allen into the action, right? If Hart starts and Jarrett Allen's going to sag off on ghost coverage on Josh Hart, then you've got to get Hart into the action. So the Knicks got to make that adjustment a lot more, and we'll see. You know, Cat's obviously the playmaking was key, But look, they've got nothing for Cat's rebounding. The Knicks stayed in this game because they won the battle of the boards, and they can't forget about that. They've got to continue to win those rebounds, which is really key. If they shoot better and hit their free throws, I think, yeah, it'll be smooth sails, especially for the next game, right? How many free throws did the Knicks miss? The New York Knicks went 21 of 32 from the stripe. So that's huge. That's 11 points dropped at the free throw line, man. Brunson went 7 of 10. OG, 8 of 10. Not too bad, 8 of 10. But obviously Mitch, 2 of 8. The hacker Mitch. So that one really, really hurt. Anybody else? Yeah, so that's, basically Mitch. Mitch missing 6 of those, and Brunson missing 3. OG missing a couple. Right, so yeah, some things we've got to clean up. We'll probably get a better Deuce McBride game. We'll probably get a better Jordan Clarkson game. But look, I'm all for giving Landry Shamet more minutes, right? You're going to start Hart. Don't think you're going to make no drastic change up. We're up 1-0, 3 games away from the big dance. And I think you stick with Hart, but you make some adjustments. Bring him in as the screener. Bring Jared Allen into more action. Pull him out of the paint to open up some more passing lanes. And if they want to play drop coverage, then Hart's going to have to shoot a little bit, and hopefully he can knock down a few shots early, and they've got to change the coverage up. Otherwise, Landry Shamet coming into the ball game a lot earlier. I thought Jose Alvarado gave the Knicks great energy, 6 minutes, made a couple twos, got a steal, big charge drawn by Landry. That was key as well. I thought the foul on Sam Merrill was big time in terms of changing that momentum as well when the Knicks were making that run. Because the Knicks, Brunson, I think, was at the line, missed a free throw split, missed the second one, and the Knicks were able to get the loose ball foul, Sam Merrill on OG, and we got the possession back. See, all of these things, man, when you're trying to mount a comeback, you need to win the battle of the possessions, fam. And I must admit, when Cat got crazy and pulled the arm and gave away an advantage, offensive foul, and the Knicks were down 6, I thought 2 minutes remaining, I thought that might be our chance, man. But the Knicks got another stop, and man, we pulled it out. Mikal, big 3, Landry, huge 3 as well. And look, the Knicks just got to feel confident now, man, heading into game 2, man. You escape from Alcatraz with a win. Yeah, Cavs choked it. Knicks deserved to pull it out late, but anyone could have won this game in overtime, truth be told. But the Knicks were more fresh, and the Knicks just were running on adrenaline, man. The building was insane. The crowd was all time. It was, look, standing room only, ladies and gentlemen. And so focusing more on game 2, right? I think, mentally, Spider Mitchell, Cleveland, the coach, Kenny Atkinson, they're going to be talking about, they were talking about, got to have a short-term memory, got to put it in the rear view. But it's easier said than done, man. The Knicks were in this same position. And if you're Cleveland, man, you have to steal the game on the road. You don't have home court. And the Knicks still have home court. That's the biggest thing, right? My key to this series was the Knicks winning the first 2. And they're 1 win away from accomplishing that. Right, you win the first 2, the other team got to beat you 4 out of 5. That's near on impossible when you're playing a team as good as the Knicks, right? If you're playing a Philadelphia or you're playing, an Orlando or Toronto or something, it's possible, but you ain't winning 4 out of 5 against the Knicks. So all the Knicks got to do is come out with energy, get the crowd going early, play physical, rough them up, win the rebounds, knock down some more shots, and play better defense, right? Not let the Cleveland shooters get too loose like they were with the ball movement. I think force Donovan Mitchell into some isolation ball, and I think that's where Cleveland, go into their shell. When the ball's spraying around and Sam Merrill, Max Strauss, they were all knocking them down. That was killing the Knicks. That was what I was worried about, ladies and gentlemen. But when the Knicks got to stay at home, Let Donovan Mitchell get into the lane. Let him get those twos. Let him freeze everyone else out, and the Knicks will just grind it away. Um, just look, Evan Mobley hit a lot of threes as well. So we'll see, man. I think you got to win game two, and I think it's a wrap. It's very close to being a wrap. With obviously still got to get three more wins, but like I said, the mathematics, man, it ain't on Cleveland's favor right now. Having to win four out of the next six. The Knicks got to win three out of the next six. Cleveland got to win four out of the next six. But if the Knicks win the next one, the Knicks only got to win two more, man, out of the next five. So we wait, man. I can't wait for tomorrow as well, or as tonight as you're watching this in the morning. Spurs OKC all-time game one, man. Credit to Wemby. It's just been amazing postseason so far, and I think the best is yet to come, man. Are we going to get a Spurs Knicks finals like 1999, man? If the Spurs win tonight, I think they're headed to the big dance. I think Wemby's really believing he's the best player on the planet, and I think he's good enough with Harper and those other guys to carry the Spurs, man. Right, a lot of pressure on Shea in this one, right? As there will be a lot of pressure on Cleveland, man, in game two. But all-time classic, man, and it's been a pleasure breaking this recap down, man. But the job's not done. Hopefully, the next three wins are less eventful, kind of like the blowouts against ATL and Philly, because it's really cardiac right now, ladies and gentlemen. But what a high, what a ride, man. Watching your team come back from 22 down, man, in real time, live, man, is an absolute blessing when it's happening against a team that's good, against a team that's trying to stop that from happening, and you're watching your team come back from 22 down. So, just absolutely phenomenal what we witnessed, man, and we'll remember this game forever. And I can't wait, man. Definitely another recap after game two, live post game on Saturday night, man, after game three. But the Knicks, man, got to get that home cooking in game two. The crowd, everyone's going to be even more amped, ladies and gentlemen. So, CT on the recap. Let's go, Knicks. Three more, and we're at the big dance. Ladies and gentlemen, Cleveland, how are you going to respond after this one?